What I'm saying in this video is common sense. I shouldn't have to say this. But in case people just don't realize it, I'm saying the following. Parents need to be kept in line. Let me say it one more time with different words. Parents need to be kept in check by the community. Often when people see children misbehaving or young teenagers acting weird, aggressive, angry, they tend to think, oh, why didn't those parents do a better job raising that kid? People begin to mourn and complain. They even begin to sing songs of how children have to obey their parents and how much veneration parents need to get. Listen, parents are human beings just like everyone else. They began as spermatosis. They had to be born out of a woman just like everyone else, and they bring the same air just like we do. So where this bull crap comes from, that the offspring needs to venerate the ancestors. Cut that crap out. Okay, just because a woman gave birth to a baby doesn't mean she became a saint, that she became in her right mind. There are many women out of their mind having babies. There are men sleeping around producing a lot of babies. Does it mean that they are entitled to honor because they impregnate a lot of women? There are a lot of men out of their mind. You can't even talk openly with them, because if you say something that they don't like, you're in trouble. And such men, you're telling me you need veneration? No. No human being should have veneration to begin with. Okay. But parents need to be kept in line. Think about it this way. Those parents, male and the mother and father, whether stepfather or whatever, they are vulnerable creatures just like everyone else. They have a job somewhere, they're influenced by their boss, by their peers, and also by their own parents. So they are influenced by the environment, and it's this influence that they transmit onto the kid. So if the parents are in a bad influence, the only thing the kid can get is a bad influence. So when the parents are in a bad state, and the child who has no option grows up there, what do you expect to happen with the child? But people say, Rashid, you can't do that. It's their life, it's their marriage, it's their privacy. You shouldn't bother, you should leave people alone. Okay, if we follow that line, that means you have dysfunctional people raising kids without any assistance, without anyone keeping them in check. But when that kid, when that human being who had no choice of situation grows up dysfunctional, the individual is bullied, the individual is condemned, and the individual is accused of not complying to society, of not making others comfortable. So hold up a minute. That same community that refuses to involve themselves into the life of that human being when he or she is in the most vulnerable state, as a kid, they can't do anything for themselves, that same community later comes with loads of expectations in the form of society, and you better conform or else something bad has happened to you. Sorry, but if the community has so much expectations, if the community has such a strong will, where was their strong will when that human being was small? When they needed it the most, where was their will? No, their will was absent. But suddenly, now that you are physically mature, they have all kinds of wills, all kinds of expectations. If you don't give in, they'll become your enemy or you will face some consequences. What the heck is that? That's unjust. And you have a lot of human beings growing up in very hostile environments. And the only reason those environments remain hostile is because the community refuses to take their collective responsibility. But at the same time, they will accuse the victims, in this case the kids who grow up in those environments. Now, not everyone remains victims. There are people that overcome and move on. Others turn into perpetrators. Unfortunately, that happens also. But nevertheless, it shouldn't be like this, that people just abandon you when you need it the most. In most vulnerable years, but later they do have expectations. What's that? And yet, a lot of folks submit to that. We call the yoke of society. It should be like this. If you're not interested in me when I couldn't mean anything to you, when I was very needy as a kid, then why should you be interested now that I'm an adult? If the community is not interested in your well-being when you're growing up, and not willingly to deal with your parents if they're out of line, then why is the community demanding you to make them at ease? So the community expects you to bend over to this abusive will to please them at all costs. And a lot of people that bend over and accept it. There are human beings in the early teens they realize this and they become angry. But because they don't have any other option, because they can't leave the situation, that frustration acts out in the form of smoking, drug addiction, promiscuous sexual behavior, or in the form of vandalism or joining gangs, because they see through the BS. Later in life, they tend to repress it because they want to have relief, so they try to force themselves to comply with society. But those so-called problem teens, often they see the truth far better than most other people. Most people are just in denial. Parents need to be kept in check. Of course, you can expect the child to listen to the parents and cooperate with the parents, but the parents need to comply with justice. The parents need to be dealt with if they're out of line. Straight up. If that doesn't happen, the community neglect a human life amongst them, and that's a crime. So if that happens to you, that community neglected you, listen, it's not your fault. Okay, just agree with Christ, keep following him, healing's on its way, and all those years are restored. Okay? Those are the people that knew about what was happening, and they didn't do a thing, but they kept gossiping about you. They complied with injustice. They complied with your unsafety. They endangered you by their cowardly attitude. None of them should have anything to well know to say about you now that you're older. That's not you being harsh or unforgiving towards them. You're being realistic. Let me say, if more people behaved like this, with this right attitude, a lot of things will be dealt with. Let me say, as there are parents that were effed up in their head. If it's not, let me say, there's some parents, it's because they have a job and they have colleagues at a job, because they have some social validation that they are clinging onto. That's why they don't go off they don't kill their children. They have so many frustrations of things they don't want to face by themselves, and they take it out on their kids. And when the kids resist, they tend to explode. So now the kid needs to watch out for their will. Because if their will is triggered, something bad needs to happen. You have parents effed up in their head, you have them. And the community needs to deal with them and be straight up towards them. But often it doesn't happen. Now let me tell you one thing. When I look at the news, well, when I watch the news, because I don't always watch the news, I do go to newspapers from time to time, but TV often is either fake news or they're projecting fear all the time. When I see messages of someone that lost their mind, picked up a knife and stabbed a lot of people, one thing I always notice is they don't talk about the background of that individual. They don't talk about where the individual grew up. They may say, well, the individual came from a troubling home. Okay, but if he or she comes from a troubling home, who enabled the troubling home? Is that the community? Why is the community addressed? Why is the community called to account from, okay, this John lost his mind and he shot many people in a mall. That guy was mentally disturbed. No human being becomes mentally disturbed like that for nothing. What was going on in his home while he was growing up? Oh, you knew that something was going on, but you didn't do anything. Why did you do anything? Huh? Okay, and then the news media should publish the faces of all those people that refuse to act, so that now they have the whole country being angry at them. If you would do such things, I'm not saying they have to do it the way I'm suggesting now, but if they would just hold communities accountable, I'm telling you, a lot of incidents would stop. The reason why many incidents continue is because folks are not held to account. Now, I'm saying as it is, parents need to be kept in line. This whole veneration of ancestors, veneration of parents, cut that crap out. Okay? And that is why that's why common people tend to turn on people like me, because I say things as they are. I'm not going to just throw facts to your face and hurt your feelings. I'm not going to attack you with facts, but I will say things as they are. When I know something doesn't add up. I remember years ago, there was this guy. He was just a year older than me. He had this chick he was involved with, but that chick treated the guy like trash. Really like trash. And the guy came to me and asked me about relationship advice. Well, he was a believer, thank God. And I told him, listen, dude, you're not a car that anyone can just ride whenever they want and then dump when they don't like it anymore. Even God, who is love, doesn't accept everything. Are you more loving than God? I said it straight up to his face. I said it straight up to him. Shortly afterwards, he got rid of that chick. And he now has a child, he's happily married, praise the Lord. I had no idea the Lord was using me. Anyway, I was just straight up to him. When something doesn't add up, it doesn't add up. And I'm tired of this denial thing. That people keep enabling danger. I won't. That's why this YouTube channel I'm teaching you. Okay? Common people tend to turn on false like me because I say things as they are and I provoke you to walk in the solution. That's it for now. Keep agreeing with Christ and be at peace.